So welcome back to WhatGear reviews for an Xperia XZ 1 month later video. Now I know some of you guys are thinking, Troy, another Sony video? What are you, some kind of Sony fanboy? And I've got no idea why you'd think that. So if you guys know the history of the WhatGear channel, you'll actually know that I used to actually work for Sony, and that's why I have so much Sony stuff. And I must say, when they announced the XZ3, I was super excited about this, and I managed to get one for a review. I know it's a bit late, but the difference between this and other reviews you've already seen is I've actually been using this for quite a long time now. So I'm going to tell you about my experience over a long duration of time with this phone. So in this video, in normal WhatGear fashion, I'm going to break it down into 4 sections. Number 1, design. Number 2, usability. Number 3, the XZ3 just slid off the table. Number 3, the quality of the device. And number 4, awesome features, because I believe every product has to have some awesome features. Otherwise it's a bit really, ain't it? So number 1, I really do like this new design on the Xperia XZ3. But I must admit, this might be the slipperiest phone that I've ever owned. Have you guys ever seen that sport called curling in the Olympics, where they slide that puck down the ice and then they use brooms to kind of sweep it? Well, if you have an XZ3, you can play that without the ice. Because it is that damn slippery, and that is a good reason to put a case on this thing. And actually the next video I'm going to put out is an Xperia XZ3 case video, so you guys are going to want to check that out if you're considering this phone, trust me. So I really like the color of this one. This is the forest green color, and I really do like the curved edges. One of my favorite phones of all time was actually my iPhone 3G, and it had a similar curved back, and it just makes it so comfortable in the hand. And this is quite similar to that. So thumbs up for the design there, but it is a bit slippery, so keep that in mind. And something else that's really cool about the design on this one is the front facing speakers. Sony tend to do this on most of their phones, but this one, they've really upped the volume level there, and the quality is there too. So I really enjoy watching video content on this phone. And the chin and forehead is still there on the device, and I don't know why Sony just can't seem to move away from this. I totally understand they don't want to do a notch, but that's quite a big chin and forehead for a phone in 2018. But once you start using the phone, you kind of forget it's even there. I just wish they'd added some extra features into these edges here. You might have seen my last WhatGear word on the street video, and I put in some suggestions there about how they could improve the design on this. Sony, if you're watching, you can have that. And I'm sure you guys have seen other reviews with people complaining about the placement of the fingerprint sensor. And I must admit, when I went from using the OnePlus 6 to this, it is in a slightly awkward position, and because it's pretty much central to the device, sometimes I ended up picking up the phone upside down and unlocking it and then realizing it's upside down. So I have to agree, the placement of the fingerprint sensor isn't amazing, but over a long period of time you kind of get used to it, and your finger kind of automatically goes to where it's supposed to. And if you add a case onto the device, it makes it a lot easier to find. Although I must admit, the way I hold the phone, my finger goes right there, right over the lens, exactly what everyone else has been saying, and it's quite easy to smudge the camera lens with your finger. So I do think that Sony should listen to what people are saying and think about where they're going to put that fingerprint sensor next time. Maybe they should just do it on screen like a lot of other companies are doing right now. With that said, I'd love to see a company put a fingerprint sensor on the front of the screen and on the back of the device as well. That would be cool. Let me know what you guys think about that idea, because I've heard a few people ask for it, and I think nobody's done it yet. So let's talk about the main difference between this and the XZ2. Now you've got, for the first time ever in a Sony phone, a curved OLED screen, which actually brings some new functionality to the device, which I'll speak about in a little bit. But this screen is really awesome. It's a QHD plus HDR display, and I must admit, out of all the phones I've used recently, this has one of the most beautiful displays that I've ever seen. I just wish I still had my Galaxy Note 8 so I could compare it side by side with that. So another really cool thing that Sony do with the design is actually put a dedicated camera button on the device as well, and it's in the bottom right corner there. And although this phone is really comfortable, that button kind of digs into your hand a bit, especially if you're right-handed. If you're left-handed, you probably won't have that problem, but I'm glad that button's there. It's really handy for when you want to take a quick photo. And there's also another feature which they've added in, which is going to allow you to take photos really quickly as well. Speak about that a bit more in the usability section. But there's just one thing missing from this design that makes me really sad, and that is it doesn't have a headphone jack. But with that said, it does support aptX HD and LDAC, which is one of the highest bitrate streaming methods for wireless headphones out there. And I've got the WH-1000X M3s, which work amazingly well with this phone. But when they run out of power, I have no backup, and that's why I miss the headphone jack. So anyway, all in all, I really like the design on the XZ3. I love that screen. I love how it feels in the hand. It is really slippery, but the design overall is really awesome. Really digging that color too. Alright, so usability. Sony have added in this new feature, which I think is okay, but sometimes annoying, and probably more annoying than it is okay, and that is the side sense feature where you double tap the edge of the screen. It's good when you need to use it, but when you don't need to use it and it pops up, it's really damn annoying. I wish Sony would let you map a specific area on the edge of the screen where it'll work, so you don't hit it by accident. I found that in the first few days of using this phone, I just kept doing it all the time. I found a way to switch off this side and just leave this side on, but even now I still hit it by accident. So I do use it from time to time. I just think it could be better. And once you get the hang of using the fingerprint sensor, it is super fast. It rarely ever fails. So that's great as well when it comes to usability. You just gotta get the hang of where it is on the device. Then, as I mentioned earlier on in the video, you got that dedicated camera button, which allows you to just pick up the phone, push the button, and it will immediately launch the camera. But there's also another way to do it without touching any buttons, and I'll speak about that in the awesome features section at the end of the video. The Xperia XZ3 is also out of the box on Android P, and the user experience itself is pretty close to a stock Android, which I really like. Back in the day, Sony used to put a lot of bloatware onto their devices. Nowadays, they've really stripped that back and given you the option to add the Xperia stuff later on if you want. It does support USB-C fast charging and wireless charging as well. And Sony were really one of the companies that adopted NFC early. And I must admit, when it came to pairing this to my headphones, I put my headphones on, realized I didn't have a headphone jack. But then all I would do is just touch the device to the side of the ear cup and immediately it would pair. So the NFC works really well, really fast. Thumbs up for the NFC on this phone. And also the fact that this has the Snapdragon 845, 4GB of RAM, and a brilliant screen. When it comes to gaming and watching videos, as I mentioned earlier, especially with the audio quality there on the speakers, you get a really nice user experience when you're watching videos, playing games, or checking out the latest WhatGear review on YouTube. So when it comes to quality of the device, one of the main things, and the thing you look at every day, is the screen. Now, what you actually have on here is Sony's triluminous color range and their X-Reality upscaling engine, which is similar to what they use on their TV. So what that does is it will take regular content and try to enhance it to give you a better viewing experience. And I must admit, going from this back to some of the other devices that I have, this by far has one of the best pictures on a smartphone other than my Galaxy Note 8. So really impressed with the quality of this screen. And I've spoken about this a couple of times in the video, but I really have to emphasize the quality of the speakers on this device. You got that stereo speaker experience, so when you're playing games like PUBG and stuff like that, you can really get an idea of where the sounds are coming from. And that combined with another feature that this phone has, which I'll mention later on in the video, is really awesome. Quality feature, quality speakers here. And just to give you an idea of how good this screen really is in comparison to, let's say, the iPhone XR, this has a pixel density of 537, whereas the 750-pound XR has 326 pixels per inch. So that's a big difference in terms of the amount of detail you see on the screen itself. Definitely a quality screen on this one. And the cameras are also really good quality. On the rear, you've got a 19 megapixel camera, of course with Sony's Exmor sensor. And what's really interesting here is actually Sony actually sell these sensors to other companies to use in their phones. So you might be thinking, oh, well, my phone's way better, it's got 2 lenses. Sony probably made those lenses. So there must be a really good reason why they're still opting to use a single lens camera in this phone. And if you want to see how good it is, I made a couple of videos on it, so go check those out. And the camera on the front, the selfie camera, the all important selfie camera is 13 megapixel, wide angled with 5-axis image stabilization. So when you're doing sort of vlogs, you can actually film a really good quality video using the front camera. And that is definitely a quality feature there. So now on to my favorite section, awesome features. This phone definitely has a few awesome features, and one of them is the charging, the Qnovo charging. So when you plug this phone in at night or put it onto its wireless charging dock, it'll actually only charge the phone to around 90% and then charge the last 10% just before you wake up, and it figures out your sleeping patterns and does this automatically. That means your phone's not going to overcharge and kill the battery. So another really cool feature on the Xperia XZ3, and it's also there on the XZ2, is the dynamic vibration system. So for example, if you guys are playing a game of Fortnite or PUBG, you can actually feel the gun firing because it's going to vibrate in your hand. The good thing about this vibration system is you can actually customize the level of vibration depending on the app you're using. So if you don't want it at all, you can switch it off, and if you want it to automatically turn on when you're playing certain games, it will do that too, which is really cool, and it just adds another sort of immersive layer to your experience with the Xperia. So Sony's dynamic vibration is another awesome feature. And of course, another awesome feature is the amazing cameras on this phone. So there is a camera feature which I haven't mentioned yet, which is the 960 frames per second super slow-mo in full HD. Now that's really awesome. I have to warn you though, it only really works well in really good lighting. If you try and do it at night, it's probably not going to turn out as good as you think, but it's nice that they've put that in there. There's not many other phones out there that can do that right now. And another feature within the camera itself is the 4K HDR video recording. You can actually film 4K HDR on the phone itself. My camera, which I use for YouTube videos, doesn't even film 4K, and that's really impressive that I can now film 4K HDR with this phone if I want to. But it's going to be hard for me to show you in this video itself because it's filmed in regular HD. But maybe I'll put some 4K HDR content out there just as a little sample for you guys to see on my community tab. Make sure you're following that community tab, by the way, because you're going to see some stuff there which you're not going to see anywhere else. And another really cool and awesome camera feature that Sony have actually added into this device is the smart launch. So basically you can just pick the phone up like this and it will automatically open up the camera so you can take a quick photo without even unlocking the screen. Now I must admit, I'm not quite used to this because it's so new, but I have used it a couple of times and it does work well. And you could probably tell when it comes to awesome features on this phone, it's largely about the camera itself. But let's not forget that QHD Plus HDR curved screen that this phone has. For me, it really shines through as the most awesome feature on this phone. So overall, my experience with this Xperia has been really good. And if you're thinking about buying it, definitely check out the price in the link below this video. I highly recommend you get a case, and my friends at mobilefun.co.uk have sent me over some of the best cases for this phone. So I'm going to do a follow-up video which is going to show you some of those. So make sure you hit thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on the notifications for when that video goes live. And I know a lot of you guys are Sony fans out there. If you want to see anything in specific, any specific Sony product reviews, let me know and I'll try my best to get my hands on them. I can't promise that I'll get it straight away, but I will do my very best for you guys. So anyway, thanks for watching this WhatGear video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And if you just subscribed, that means you're now one of the finest subscribers known to man, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't be late. Hey Batman, it's Troy from WhatGear.
Is something wrong?
I just spent 300 quid on a pair of Sony headphones that came with a cable, but there's no headphone jack on this XZ3.
We'll get on it right away, Commissioner.